Hi, welcome to Storm the Field. I'm Mathis. I'm joined here with Quentin, Rob, and Trey. And today we're going to be talking about the Big Ten win total projections. And so we're just going to get right into it. We're going to start off with Illinois. Trey, you got them at 5-7. You want to take it away?
Yeah, I have them at 5-7, man. It's simple. They're not a football school. They're more known for their basketball program. Their only big win that I have is at Nebraska. That's all I can pretty much say about them.
All right, Rob.
Got them 4-8 overall, 2-7 in conference. The two worst teams on their schedule, Indiana and Northwestern, are their only two wins, and fortunately for them, they sandwiched their entire schedule. So, not much really to say about Illinois.
Yeah. Quentin?
Again, there's not really much to say. 3-9.
Yeah.
Not that much to say.
Needless to say, none of us are high on Illinois for sure.
Yeah, I actually only got them winning one conference game, and that is against Northwestern at the end of the year. And so I got them at 4-8.
Yeah, the Fighting Illini will not be fighting.
No.
Yeah, Trey, I don't see that win against Nebraska.
I just had to put something in there. Honestly, that's where I got it.
They'll be fighting
the win.
Yeah, so let's move on. We got the Iowa Hawkeyes.
I mean, it's Iowa, man. Honestly, they're gonna go 9-3 almost every year, with the exception of a couple years. I have them losing to the two best teams in the Big Ten with Michigan and Ohio State, and then I have them losing a close-fought game with Wisconsin, which is Iowa's biggest competition in the Big Ten West.
Rob?
I have Iowa 8-4 overall, 5-4 in conference. Like Trey, I have them losing to Ohio State and Michigan, but also Purdue, who is I project to win the West. So 8-4 overall.
All right, Quentin.
I have the Iowa Hawkeyes 9-3, with them beating Wisconsin but losing to Purdue, and that eventually is gonna make the conference, because that's the game that I feel like the championship is gonna depend on whoever goes. So I do have them losing to Purdue, so I don't feel like they will go much farther than that.
Well, I actually realized that I made a mistake. I had them and Purdue both winning that game, and more recently I've gone towards Iowa, and so I changed it here on the graphic. But I guess that means I got Iowa going 10-2, so that would win them. That would win them the East and put them going in to next season as in the championship game against, I guess you'll find out later. And so yeah, I'm higher on them. I guess we'll see. Some of y'all might be wrong on that Purdue pick.
Bold.
We're all on the Vegas over/under, but my God.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and move on. We got Minnesota.
Minnesota, I have them going 7-5. Pretty standard. I have them losing to Michigan State, Purdue, Penn State, teams like that just are better than them in every way. I mean, I really can't say much about Minnesota.
Rob?
I got them at 8-4, like Iowa, 5-4 in conference. I have them losing to Michigan State, Penn State, and Nebraska, as well as Wisconsin. So just a little bit above average.
Quentin?
I have them just right at 500. I don't really feel like they're going to be that special, and their schedule is probably one of the harder schedules in the East. They have Michigan State, Purdue, Penn State, and Wisconsin and Iowa. So I feel like those are all very losable games. So there's not much for me to be very high on. But I don't think they're going to be average bad.
Everybody in the West plays Purdue.
Yeah,
I know. I was saying it's one of the hardest schedules. I said Iowa and Wisconsin too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got them at 8-4, just like Rob. They have a tough draw from the East because they get Michigan State and Penn State, who I think are more upper level teams in the East. And really, the big swing game I have for them that kept me from going 7-5 was I think they're going to beat Wisconsin. They've lost 4 years in a row. I think PJ Fleck is a great coach. I think they get him this year. So that leaves them with at 8-4. It's a great season. Might not be what all their fans are expecting. They might want something a little closer to 10 wins. I just don't see that in the cards for this year. But let's take this right into our Nebraska picks. Trey?
Well, I mean, Nebraska hasn't been good in recent memory, and I just don't see them turning that around completely this year. I feel like Scott Frost isn't the coach that a lot of people thought he was, and he just can't build big-time programs, in my opinion. So I have them going 6-6 with them losing all the games that they should lose. With the exception of Illinois, I have them losing to Illinois, which is a pretty bold take.
I have Nebraska at 8-4. I think they're a lot better team than they showed last year. They lost a ton of very close games. I have them beating Oklahoma at home, and but losing to Purdue in the West. Have them losing to Michigan, Wisconsin, and Iowa. 5-4 overall in conference, but I think they're going to have a big turnaround versus last year. But nothing super stellar, but 8-4 overall, which is a pretty good 5-game turnaround from last year.
Quentin?
I have Nebraska at 7-5. I feel like from 7 wins from last year is a huge improvement. So I feel like that's a season that they should be happy with. And the schedule's not all too bad. I mean, they do have Michigan and Oklahoma, which I have them losing both those games. But I feel like 7-5 is a good season for them.
I'll be honest. I have no idea what to expect. On one hand, you can look and say, hey, if they just played some of those games twice last year, like if they just played Oklahoma twice, or if they just played, who was it, Ohio State that they barely lost to? They just played some of those games twice that goes the other way. It was a lot of coin flip games. But on the other hand, you can look and say, hey, if you're losing every close game you have, that's a coaching issue. I think there's going to be a lot of improvement. Obviously, they brought in Casey Thompson from Texas, who dealt with a thumb injury, which kind of tailed off his year last year. I think he's going to be Rob, are you smoking a cigar?
That's what I do.
Okay.
Did you not notice at the last?
No, I've never noticed that you smoke cigars. No, but
Don't pay attention very well.
I mean,
That's my trademark. That's my trademark.
guys, Rob's a big cigar
Trey
smoker. We're just joking
He's
around.
showing off all his basketball shoes.
Yep. And so, all that to say, I don't really know where to put Nebraska. I'm not going to say, okay, last year they should have won all these games that they lost. I'm not going to just flip all those to wins, but I'm not going to keep them losses either because I think they improved. And so, I got them winning about half the games that I think they almost won last year. And so that puts them at 7-5. Bowl game, first time in Scott Frost era. I don't know if it'd be enough. How much improvement can you have over the next few years? Who knows? But I guess it'll keep him at his job for the next year at least. And so now we're going to a team that we unanimously agree with.
Yeah.
Northwestern.
I only have them winning all of their non-conference games, man. I just don't see them beating a single team in the Big Ten this year.
Yeah.
Likewise, the only Power 5 team I have them beat is Duke. That's not saying much. I have them 0-9 in conference, 3-9 overall.
Yeah.
By the way, something we didn't mention is they'll be playing in Dublin, Ireland, I believe, against Nebraska.
They'll be losing in Dublin, Ireland.
That's right.
All right. And then now we got to Purdue. Trey, me and you seem to agree a little more on this. 8-4.
Yeah. I think Purdue's a good team. I just don't think that they're going to be the best team in the Big Ten West, honestly. I have them losing or dropping games to Penn State, Maryland, Wisconsin, and Iowa, which are pretty losable games for them. But their schedule is relatively easy the rest of the way. So I have them going 8-4.
I have them losing to Penn State. I have them going 10-2 overall, winning the West, and they do it by beating Purdue. Beating Wisconsin on the road.
Okay, Quentin.
I have pretty much the same thing as Rob. Yeah, I feel like Purdue every year is always taking someone down. Like you always see it, like a Purdue upset.
Like Ohio State.
I feel like it's like every year you just see someone beat Purdue, like get beat by Purdue, and I feel like I feel like it's a good team this year.
See, I was on the Boilermaker train for a while, and the more I thought about it, the more I looked into it. I just think it's a risky decision. You got Penn State, healthy Penn State, very talented roster. Obviously, Penn State has the better roster. I think they got the better quarterback. And so it's going to be hard to play Penn State early because they do have some injury concerns. They do have some depth issues, especially at the O-line position. So I think that the worst time you want to play Penn State is early when they've been preparing for you. And so I think you lose that game. That already got one loss on your schedule. And do I think you're going 11-0 the rest of the way? No, I got you going 9-2 or 9-3 or 8-3, whatever you want to call it. I just don't see you winning multiple swing games on the road. Syracuse, we obviously none of us thought they were going to be great, but they're not a gimme. So you got them on the road, and then you got Minnesota on the road. Then you got Wisconsin on the road, and then you got Iowa at home the next game. Obviously, you have a bye week, but those are your back-to-back games. And I just, with no run game to speak of, it's just hard for me to see you going 10-2, 11-1, whatever else, in a running conference because that is not the weather that you want to be slinging the ball around in. And so I got them at 8-4. That brings us to Wisconsin. Trey, you got them winning the East. Oh my God. I just realized this is the West. This is the West.
Yeah.
I got it labeled wrong.
I have them winning the Big Ten West. I just feel like they have the easiest schedule out of every team in the Big Ten with their two toughest games coming at Ohio State and at Michigan State. And every other game is a winnable game, and I just don't see them losing to any other teams.
I have Wisconsin pretty much beating everyone they're expected to and losing to everyone they should lose to, which is Ohio State, Iowa, and the pivotal game against Purdue. That one, what is it, week 8, 7 or 8? That, to me, is the championship for the West, and I just don't see them beating Purdue. They're falling one game behind.
Quentin?
I have them at 9-3, but I actually do like them more than not Iowa, Purdue. But I feel like they just have the harder schedule. They have Ohio State, they have Michigan State. I have them beating Purdue, but then I have them losing to Iowa. So I feel like those three teams at the top are kind of like maybe like cannibalize each other because the West is no the yeah no the West is way stronger than
The West is the easier by far.
yeah I feel like those three teams are just gonna kind of tear each other apart. So I don't feel like any of them are much better than the others. But I do like Wisconsin over Purdue because of their run game. I feel like their run game is gonna be better, especially later in the year.
Yeah. I was looking through it, and when I look at this schedule, if I'm looking at other people, I'm like, wow, you got to go through Ohio State. You got to go through Michigan. I was looking at, you got to go through Iowa way more than you play Wisconsin. And so I think Iowa's just the better roster. I think Wisconsin's going to be great. I think it's going to be a huge improvement of last year. They kind of started off, what was it? It was terrible. It was like they started off like 2-4 or something. And
the worst ranked team of all time.
Yeah.
Is what they were calling them.
Yeah, it was not a good year last year, and so I can't throw them in 10-win territory. I actually think 8-4 is much more likely than 10-2. I think 9-3 is probably where they end up. That puts them in second place in the West. I keep messing up. I'm seeing Big Ten East at the top, so I'm having to think about it. But yeah, I just think Iowa's the better team. I think they got probably the better coach. That's all really I have for it. And so that wraps up the West. So now, if y'all want to, we can go ahead and move on to the East, which I think probably a little more entertaining.
Yep. I mean, Indiana basketball school yet again. You have them winning 4 games, all 4 games that they're expected to win. In Illinois, Idaho, Western Kentucky, and Rutgers, and losing every other game.
I have them 3-9, winning all their non-conference games except Cincinnati. The only team I have them beating in conference is the only team worse than them, and that's Rutgers.
All right,
1-8 in conference.
Yep. It's pretty much the same across the board. Not
Yeah.
Indiana.
I'm
Good basketball.
feeling a trend with Quentin. I think he's copying my picks, guys.
I think he is too.
You're not the guy I want to copy, though.
His mind is as blank as his wall.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, honestly, I'm there. I think that 4-8 is more likely than 10-2 or than 2-10 though. I think.
Yeah.
What is the over set at? Over under?
4.
4. I think they could. I think they're more likely a push than they are an over though. So I'd go with the under on that if y'all are betting. We're not experts, so I would not put money on us. So make your own decisions. But
Are
If
you
you
betting?
do, you give us our royalties, though.
yeah, you owe us what is it, like 60% of the winnings?
Yep.
But we don't go in debt if you lose. So
Yep.
kind of a win-lose scenario for us and you. All right. So we got Maryland. Trey, take it away.
I have Maryland going 6-6. I have them winning the games that they should and losing the games that they shouldn't. I mean, there's nothing more to that, honestly.
I have them 5-7, falling short of a bowl invite. 3-6 in conference. Really just beating the bad teams: Rutgers, Northwestern, Indiana. I have them losing to SMU in non-conference play.
Quentin?
Same thing, Quentin.
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah, I can't add anything else.
I have them just at 500. I don't think that the East is so hard. It's just gonna be super hard for them to win games.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like in the West they would have or
Right.
the Big Ten East, shall I say? I feel like they would have.
Yeah.
They'd have an improvement if they played in the other side of the bracket, but I don't feel like they're going to be able to win that many games in this conference.
Yeah, I think they're incredibly middle of the road. You got the top tiers, and then probably got Ohio State right here, then Michigan, like right below them. And I think Penn State and Michigan State just about on the same level. But so they're probably that third, fourth tier, if you want to call it, depending on if you put Ohio State a tier ahead of Michigan. And so I just think they're like kind of right in the middle. They're not down there with the Rutgers or Illinois, but I don't think they're better than the top four either. So that moves us on to Michigan. And once again, not a whole lot to talk about. I want to go ahead and predict the loss. Do y'all want to say it all at the same time?
Yeah,
Ohio State. Yeah.
Indiana.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see Ohio State and Michigan going into that last game both undefeated.
Yeah, I think it's going to be.
Michigan can go into Ohio State and win that game. It's just a very difficult place to play.
Yeah,
I hate to say this, but I think Michigan may be back. They may be back to their traditional role of playing for the league championship year in, year out.
I will say, though,
Possible.
They lost both their coordinators because their coach almost decided to run away to the NFL, but they didn't want him. And so they're gonna. It's not gonna be easy, but I think they don't have a challenge for a long time, so I think they're gonna get their legs under them. Probably, I mean, they don't leave for like the first month of the season. And
arguably, they probably have the easiest schedule in the Big Ten.
Yeah, I think that's a very workable schedule up until week 13, is it?
Yes.
12.
Week 13. Bye week.
The first week is week 0.
Yeah, I know, but there's a bye week.
Yeah,
you have 12 games and a bye.
Oh, that's true.
It's week 13.
All right, so now we're going to move on to...
Look at the engineer.
Admonish.
So now we're going to move on to...
That sounded like he had a little bit of hatred in the tone of his voice when he was talking about old John Harbaugh.
Yo,
Me?
A little bit angry.
Wrong guy.
Jim Harbaugh.
Well, whatever.
Are you talking about me being a hater?
Yeah, you were like the coach ran away.
I just call it how it is. I mean, I would feel some type of way if you see a little bit of success and see where you can take it. I don't know. I think he probably.
Hey, he's a bag chaser. He's chasing his bag.
I can respect it.
Hey, it is what it is. But if we're talking about Michigan, then Michigan should feel some type of way about that. Because at the end of the day, it did damage the team. It hurt the recruiting class. I think it's impossible to say it didn't.
They've always got drama, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Texas of the North.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, now let's move on to...
Dare I say?
No, don't dare. Don't dare you say it.
I won't say it.
No, you can't say it. All right, so let's move on to Michigan State.
I mean, Michigan State is probably the third or fourth best team in the East, which is pretty good given the how that conference or how that division lines up. I have them losing to Ohio State at home and then losing away at Michigan and away at Penn State. I mean, I don't see anything else that they can lose.
I have the same thing. I have them also losing at home to Wisconsin. I really liked them last year. I think they overplayed last year, and I think they're still one of the better teams. If they were in the West, they'd be competing for playing in the championship. But they're a middle of the road team in the East, so I got them 5-4 in conference.
I don't know. I think I think they got a great coach. They won a lot of games that were swing games, and like I mentioned earlier with who was it? Nebraska? If you win every close game, that says something about coaching. If you lose every close game, it says something about coaching. Sorry, Quentin, I didn't mean to jump ahead. You got them at 10-2, so you're even higher on than I am.
Yeah, I mean, if you go look at they have a really light schedule. I mean, they play Ohio State, Wisconsin, and Michigan early in the year. I think not early in the year, but earlier than
in conference play. Earlier in conference play.
Early in conference.
Yeah, and then they have Illinois, Rutgers, and Indiana going into the Penn State game, and I just think I think they have a better coach, and I think that they're a better roster than Penn State. I mean, Sean Clifford is very good, but I don't know that Penn State's going to bounce back that heavily and since they've had their struggles. And I do think Mel Tucker, I think that he'll win them games.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with a lot of what Quentin said. I don't know. I mean, it's only a game difference, and I think that's just a disagreement of one. And I'm thinking, Quentin, you probably have them beating Penn State at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And I have them losing because it's at Penn State late in the year. And so, I mean, that's really probably our only difference in both of those schedules is that one game. And so we're kind of all at the same place, I think. Rob, you're a little lower.
That was a tough one for me, but it was at Penn State.
Yeah. And so we're probably about to have the least interesting prediction right here. Ohio State.
The only thing I'd like to say is they're going to beat Notre Dame.
That's not really even saying much now.
I'm extremely high on Ohio State. But
yeah, I believe they have the Heisman on their team this year with CJ Stroud, honestly. I just feel like he's going to be better than what he was last year.
Yeah,
and I feel like he's the front runner for the Heisman award. It's his award to lose, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think if I was picking in preseason right now, I'd pick CJ Stroud and Jackson Smith and Jigba to get the Heisman and the Biletnikoff respectively.
If Ohio State trips up and loses one, who's it going to be?
Michigan. I'm
I
taking
Michigan. I think that it'd be that Iowa game or the Penn State game.
I would say it's the Penn State game, but it's big noon. I don't think they're winning. I don't think Penn State's winning that game if it's not their whiteout.
Yeah, they're a night team.
Yeah.
I agree with Trey. I think it comes down to Michigan and Ohio State, that final game. And I've got Ohio State winning, but I think if they trip up, that is the game.
Yeah, I think that's the game too.
All the big teams, they can all lose a game.
This could be interesting.
So for me, it's the Penn State game because in the 4 prior games, you have Wisconsin, Rutgers. I mean, that's a win. Rutgers is a win. And then you have Michigan State and Iowa, and those are all good teams other than Rutgers. And then you have to go to Penn State, and I feel like that Penn State, and that's gonna be like probably the most electric crowd that they're gonna have all year. So I feel like if they're gonna lose, it could be that game, but just because of the atmosphere. And they catch Michigan at home, so I feel like at home they're not probably gonna lose to Michigan. I mean, they haven't in so long. What has it been like?
I mean, they said that last year about Oregon, and Oregon's a significantly worse team than Michigan, in my opinion.
It's going to come down to Ohio State's defense. Is what's his name? Jim Knowles? I don't want to get his name not wrong or be on record with something wrong, but I think their new coordinator's name is Jim Knowles. I know he came from Oklahoma State. Great defense they had last year. I don't know if they turn around in 1 year. Do they have the personnel, especially on the D-line? Are they going to be able to get that push? I don't know. Or it's in that game, it's really going to come down to the line of scrimmage in that Michigan game. Because Michigan's just going to try and run it down their throat again. And they're going to pretty much ask Ohio State, do you have an answer? And I think they do. I think they'll be good
Who
enough.
wants it more?
Yeah.
I was going to say it's going to come down to who wants it more, and I'm giving it to Ohio State because it's at home.
Yeah, I don't see Ohio State losing that game back to back. Last year they had 3 goals last year. Go undefeated, win the Michigan game, and then win the national championship. They went 0 for 3 with those goals. And so I think they're angry. I think they're going to have a great year. And right now, if I had to pick, I'd say they'll be in the national championship. But hey,
I think this is a huge.
both teams could make it. If Michigan's one loss is Ohio State, they don't play in a conference championship, would you take a one-loss Michigan and put them into the into the playoff? Maybe at that 4th slot.
It depends on how the SEC plays out.
Yeah, I mean, if Georgia gets a loss and then they lose to undefeated Bama in the championship, then that probably limits you to one SEC team. I could easily see it being Michigan and Ohio State. I could see that happening.
If it's a very close loss.
Yeah. I think it would have to be.
I think Ohio State has a better chance of getting in with one loss than Michigan.
Yeah. It depends. Obviously, if we're looking at numbers, we don't have the full. I think it's gonna come down a lot more to the story. Like if it seems like everything's going right, maybe they lose by a field goal or in overtime or something like that, then I think they probably get the nod. Maybe even over a one-loss SEC championship loser. Like maybe if you see Georgia and I don't know. I guess we just have to see. We're not making that decision yet. So
and if it plays out the way we think it is, their only loss will be the last game. So they'll be in contention up until that last game.
Yeah.
And that might be enough to get them in.
I think it'll be a very interesting season in the Big Ten East. It's going to be a lot of talking points. You're going to have probably 4 teams who are in contention for a while. And I think 2 of those teams will tail off midway through conference. But I think it'll be a 2-man race up until that last week. And so if we want to go ahead and move on to Penn State, we already talked a lot about them. I think we kind of just all have them in the same area, except for Quentin. I think that one game flipped is what we talked about.
Yeah, the Michigan State game is the only game I think I have flipped from y'all.
Yeah,
I could see them winning that game too. I don't think that's not like a for sure. Like I think that Michigan State's so much better. I just think that that's the first flip game for them.
Yeah, I just can't see them losing at home that game. But, I mean, they play Auburn on the road. That's a very difficult place to play. Michigan on the road. That's a difficult place to play. And Ohio State's just a better team. So, those are their 3 losses for me.
Yeah, I got them in the same place.
One thing I'd like to add is the Auburn game is on the road, and it's payback for what happened last year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So 9-3 overall, and the two losses in conference, Michigan and Ohio State.
Yep.
Then move on to Rutgers.
The one we've been waiting for.
Oh, saving the best for last.
I mean, I really don't have much to say. I have them beating Wagner and Temple, and that's it.
Well, and I do too. The only thing I would like to add is after 3 games, they're going to be above 500. That's all I have to say about it.
Yep. That's all that matters.
If they could end then, they'd be happy.
Yep. They'd have a bowl game if they could.
Yeah, I agree, but I do have them beating Indiana.
I have that game too.
At home in week.
Off the bye week.
Yeah, off the bye week. No, wait, yeah. I do have them winning that game, but also it's Rutgers. So.
It's at home.
Yeah.
And that is kind of a toss-up game. I mean, Indiana's not very good.
Yeah, but neither is Rutgers. So
In fact, I just noticed that between the two of them, that's the only win I have for Indiana in conference is the Rutgers game.
I would
Just
like
'cause
to.
somebody had to win.
I would like to
Somebody got
sidetrack
to.
for just a second, and we got to talk about the Duke Kansas game. Battle of the bottom of the
Biggest game of the
barrel.
year.
Are y'all
Biggest
excited?
game of the year.
I know.
You know, if that was basketball, that'd be the biggest game of the year.
Yep.
Yep.
I think we need to
I
coin
think
it.
we
The
mentioned that yesterday.
needs to be the rivalry game. It needs to be battle of the bottom of the barrel.
Battle of the Blue Bloods.
Yep.
in
It's going to
basketball.
be who can score. They're going to have to try to score less points than the other one. That's how they're going to win.
Yep.
They're gonna treat it like golf.
Yep.
I don't know.
Well,
I
you know, both defenses are so bad, it could be one of the higher scoring games in
Yep.
of the season.
I actually think Kansas is got a pretty good offense. Not for
Well, yeah,
I never thought I'd do that. I never thought I'd do that.
not for good team standards, but for a bad team, they have a pretty fun offense.
Kansas did beat that powerhouse last year known as the Longhorns.
Powerhouse.
Power is an overstatement.
Yeah.
I thought they were back.
Kansas?
They
They never left. Kansas never left.
Kansas is back.
In basketball.
All right, we're getting to
They
Big
never
12
left.
next show. And so
Big 12, next show.
that'll be the highlight of the show, and when we go in depth with this Kansas Duke game.
Yep.
But
and just a little bit of gosh, what's the word? Because the Big 12 sucks so bad, Mathis had to make it interesting and pretend to split them into two divisions.
yeah, I mainly just did that for graphics. I didn't want to do.
You're gonna have me going all over the place.
I don't want it to be real long where it has 10 teams. I went ahead and I cut it up in half. It'll be a part 1 and part 2. But we are on a little bit of a time crunch, so we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Thank y'all for watching. If you're still here, don't know if you are or not, but if you are, go ahead, be a friend of the show, get some Dr. Squatch, the unofficial official sponsor of the show. What's
And
that?
hit the like and the
Yep.
notifications.
Yep, hit the notifications. If you have any friends who watch football, send them here. Or don't. If you want to be the smartest person in the room when you're talking about it, just listen to us, write it down,
Yep.
and we do
I
not
like
take.
to say after one podcast, we already have more than tens of viewers.
Yep,
Uh-huh.
almost
So
20s of
already-
viewers.
Projection.
Yep.
Yeah,
Our goal for the end of the week is 25 subscribers.
yeah. So send to every friend you know, post it on your social medias, let them know it's the best show you've ever seen.
And Matt has a free Dr. Squatch bar to the 25th subscriber.
That's actually not true. No, we don't give handouts yet. We'll wait until we're officially sponsored. We'll have a discount code for y'all.
All right.
All right,
Good
yeah.
show, guys.
So we're gonna go ahead and get out of here. Y'all have a great rest of your day.